I'm a Democrat. I'm running for Congress in Kentucky's 2nd District. This is a district that used to be solidly Democratic back in the days of Bill Natcher. But the Democratic Party lost touch in rural and working America. Years ago, the Democratic Party stopped fully investing in rural districts like the 2nd. Some of this was understandable. Democrats had been unable to win in many rural districts, and so they made the tactical decision to spend their resources elsewhere. This might have made sense for an election or two, but they stayed away for too long. They lost their way. By 2016, Democrats weren't even in the discussion in much of rural America. Democrats used to support working people. They used to keep Wall Street and the big banks in line. They tackled the big issues, like racial inequality, like poverty, like rural electrification. They even created Social Security and Medicare. So I believe that Democrats need to recover their roots, to once again be the party of working people, the party that's willing to do a better job of balancing things between businesses and people, and to improve the social safety net for all Americans. That's why I created, with lots of help, the Contract for Rural and Working America. Now, it starts with health care. We need health care that's much less expensive, that's much easier to use, that covers everyone honestly, and that gives much better results. In rural America, we need to restore hospitals that have been shut down. Instead of driving as much as 2 hours to get care, rural Americans, rural Kentuckians, need hospitals in their communities. They need hospitals where they live. I believe we need a national child care system, one that would provide safe and reliable child care for all who need it, for working people who need to know their children are safe while they are at work. We also have lots of work to do in improving our educational system. There are a lot of people who know more about farming than me, many people who know a lot more about farming than I do, and there are people that are smarter than me. But how smart do you have to be? How much do you need to know to understand that farmers are getting screwed? They're up against the weather, and they're up against the market, and now they're up against the well-intentioned but misguided actions of the federal government. Tariffs have solved nothing. They've made the farmers' lives much more difficult. Countries that used to buy soybeans from Kentucky are now buying them from South America. These are customers who are not coming back, and Kentucky's farmers have gotten the raw end of the deal. We need to support small, subsistence, family, and cooperative farms in Kentucky and in the rest of the nation. We can do this with price supports, with nonprofit disaster insurance, with a national nonprofit credit union for farm and equipment purchases, and by encouraging local production and consumption of food. I believe we need to rebuild our national supply chain, beginning with strategic industries like semiconductors, aluminum, and steel. Our infrastructure needs attention as well, from crumbling roads and bridges to schools, libraries, and public parks. I believe workers are significantly underpaid, and this is making life more and more difficult for people who work. The hours are too long, the wages are too low, and this needs to change. I support a $15 an hour minimum wage. We have allowed trickle down to dominate public policy for decades. It's time now for a significant amount of trickle up. A tree that gets water only on its leaves will die. We must water the roots if the tree is to live. And workers in declining or rapidly changing industries need support as well. It isn't the workers' fault when the coal company goes out of business, when the factory is moved to the Far East, when huge corporations are allowed to shut down entire businesses through anti-competitive practices. Look what Walmart did to Kentucky's dairy farmers. They shut them down in just one summer. We must stop the damage we have done to the climate. This is the most important issue we all face. The weather is changing. We are all experiencing it. We don't have much time left to preserve our beautiful planet for our children and our grandchildren. We need new industries. Renewable energy is a rapidly growing category of business, and there's no reason for Kentucky to be left behind. We have plenty of energy workers. Let's get them started on setting up and running massive solar farms, on producing synthetic kerosene from air and recaptured carbon. Let's set up wind farms on strip-mined mountaintops. We need rural broadband, the same way we need water and power. Here we are in a pandemic, needing to educate our children online, but we simply don't have the infrastructure. 30% of America is without broadband. This cannot continue. And while there's virtually no opposition to this idea, so far, corporate America has been unwilling to get the job done. Fine. We will do it. And let's have the post office make it happen. The post office exists to connect us all, to enable communication across this great land. Yes, the post office needs to be modernized. What better way than to build the best broadband infrastructure in the world? This will be an investment in us, the American people, and it will preserve one of our oldest and most important institutions. Addiction, far too much of it prescribed by huge pharmaceutical companies, has devastated families across America. We need to decriminalize addiction. We must send people to rehab instead of prison. Families with addicted family members need our support as well. This will be an exceptionally difficult job with very difficult choices. To stop the alarming amount of deaths by overdose, I support safe daily maintenance doses of opioids for addicts. Cannabis needs to be rescheduled away from Schedule 1. It is not the same as heroin or the same as LSD. Cannabis should be regulated, it should be taxed, and it should be legal. Finally, I support the creation of a new cabinet-level position to advise the President, the Secretary of Rural Affairs. The goal of this position is to aid in restoring, rebuilding, revitalizing, and reinvigorating the lives of those who live in rural America. And let me say, when we restore, revitalize, rebuild, reinvigorate rural America, it will benefit the rest of America as well. We cannot survive only focusing on those with money. We must focus on those at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. We must do the right thing for people who work. We must focus on trickle up. So this is where I stand. This is what I believe. I'm asking you for your help. You can help me make Kentucky and America a place where we can do more than survive, where we can fulfill our potential, where we can thrive in a land built on equality, sustainability, and justice. I'm going to have more to say on equality and justice at another time.